Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Spanj's Build Academy here at Empyrion Galactic Survival, and today we're talking about how to create a basic hover vessel. I'm here in creative mode on the game, which is probably best to demonstrate this, but you guys watching this video are probably going to find your first hover vessel build will be in survival mode. So you're probably going to be scraping together what little components you can from the resources you can gather. So this video is for new players, really, about how to create a hover vessel, what components you need, and basically how to cobble it together in the best possible way. So the first thing you will need to do to create your new hover vessel is, first of all, you will need to unlock everything relating to hover vessel. Not everything, but, you know, a good amount. What you need is a generator, fuel tank, O2. You will need RCSs, you will need thrusters, you will need hover engines, and you will need cockpit. Now, the other stuff that I recommend you get, if you're playing with friends, get passenger seats. Docking pads are always good if you want to be able to dock your hover vessel to something and move it somewhere else. If you're on a non-breathable planet, a ventilator is good. Various sort of ramps and doors and force field stuff you don't really need to worry about unless you want an interior to your hover vessel, but that's something we can deal with later. Hover boosters allow you to jump. Obviously, the bigger the engines, the faster you go. Harvester modules and cargo harvester boxes are very useful if you want to harvest things. That goes into drill modules and stuff like that, but your first hover vessel, you're probably not going to be worrying about drillers and things like that. You're going to want Gatling guns so that you can defend yourself. You're going to want O2 tanks and O2 station if you're on a non-breathable planet. You're going to want an armor locker so you can actually wear some armor. As soon as you can get a clone chamber as well, upgrade to that. Detector, if you can get that, great. If not, not to worry, but that should be a very earliest opportune upgrade that you can get. Mobile constructor, again, is something you're going to need, as well as fridge. Spotlight blocks and light blocks are fairly self-explanatory. So as you level up, just try and get the basic components here: the generators, fuel tanks, RCSs and thrusters, hover engines, cockpits, docking pads, and then go into things like thrusters, weaponry, mobile constructor, I would say, then detector, armor locker, more thrusters, passenger seats if you're playing with other people, and so on and so forth. After that, you can pretty much take it as you see fit. If you're looking to drill something, then obviously drillers are a good upgrade to have as soon as you can. So that's the first step. Make sure you unlock the relevant components that you're going to need. So once you've got all those, what you are going to need is at least one generator, at least one fuel tank. You're going to need at least 2 hover engines, but I'm going to create 4 here. We're not going to worry about the bigger hover engines just yet because they're for much bigger ships. And you're going to need at least, depending on how big you're going to make it, you need at least 1 thruster for each direction. And hover vessels work on a 2-dimensional plane, okay? So 1 thruster in each direction in order to make it go in each direction you want it to go. But I'm going to grab a few more in order to give it a little bit more thrust. So I'm going to assume 2 thrusters in each direction, but I'm going to have 4 on the forward direction, okay? RCSs, I'm going to grab 2 of those, and oxygen tank, an ammo box, and some Gatling cannons. Okay, so they're all your sort of basic components, and like I said, you can upgrade with more. Cargo boxes, for example, are good. Harvester boxes and harvester modules are good. Mobile constructor is good as well. Let's add that on later. What we're worrying about at the moment is just your basic sort of hover vessel. And finally, what you're going to need is some steel blocks. Okay, and they're just made out of iron, so you can make some steel blocks in your constructor, and that will help you out. The only other thing... Oh, yes, you're going to need a cockpit, of course. The only other thing you might want is some window blocks if you're using an open cockpit or instead of a enclosed one. But for the purpose of this video, I'm going to use an enclosed one. And the final component you're going to need, this might be the very first component you build, you're going to need a hover vessel starter block. Okay, you're not going to be able to build a hover vessel without this, so you're going to need one of these, because this is how you start your hover vessel build. Okay, now I'm in God mode here, so I'm flying around all over the shop, but you'll be in survival mode most likely, so you'll be running around all over the shop. Place your hover vessel starter block anywhere on a nice flat surface. just like that. Okay, now it looks like something like this, and the first thing you should take note of is this little arrow here. It looks like a V. Well, in fact, it probably is a V, and that is forward. That's the front of the ship. It's pointing at the front of the ship. Okay, so make sure you remember that. It's also the core is faced in that orientation as well. Okay, so that's the front, the direction I'm facing, and this is the back here. So just bear that in mind when you start. Now, if you hit P while looking, that's P on your keyboard while looking at your new hover vessel starter block here, you'll get the control panel come up. Okay, and if you go to devices, devices gives you a list of all the stuff that you need in order for this thing to work. So we can see it says generator missing, fuel tank, cockpit thrusters, RCS, and hover engines missing. This is your checklist of stuff, basically. So once you've got all those components, you can turn it on and it will work. But the first thing you're probably going to want is a cockpit. So I'm going to go ahead and place the standard sort of cockpit right there. Okay, I'm going to start loading up all these other components into my hotbar. Okay, so the second component you're probably going to want is some hover engines. Now, hover engines work a bit like wheels do on a car. You're going to want to spread them out to make a stable sort of base. Okay, so I've got 4. You can do it with 2. You can even do it with 1, but it would fall all over the place. So you want as stable base as you can possibly get. So I'm going to place 1 there, I'm going to place 1 there, and I'm going to place 2 on the back corner here as well. So those are my wheels, if you like, for my hovercraft here. So I'm just going to place some blocks, square blocks, around this now to give it that kind of to spread it out a bit. Okay, the next component you probably want is your generator. I'm just going to place that directly behind the cockpit there, followed quickly by your fuel tank. Again, place that there, and then you need 2 RCSs, and then I'm going to place an ammo box at the back here. And now that's pretty much it. I got an O2 tank as well. If I want to place that, I could place that there, for example. And it's pretty free. You can place these sort of stuff anywhere, really, but you want to probably place it towards the middle of the craft so it's most protected. The biggest chunk of armor on this thing at the moment is the cockpit, so if I'm facing an enemy, this thing's going to tank the damage for me and protect these components in doing so. So I'm going to put them there. The RCSs, they're what allow your hover vessel to turn, and you want to kind of spread them out a bit. Clustering them together limits their usefulness, so I've placed them either side here to get the best out of these RCSs. 2 is actually probably a bit overkill on this thing. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to place 2 Gatling cannons so that I can defend myself. I'm going to put them either side of the cockpit so that they're nice and easy to aim later on. And now thrusters. So this is the important bit. This is obviously what makes your hovercraft go. And you need thrusters in each direction, like I said earlier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place 2 and 4 on the back there facing the rear. So they are my forward thrusters. Basically, they will allow me to go forward. I'm going to place 2 facing the other way, and I'm using the rotate keys here to rotate the blocks. And I'm going to place 1 there and 1 there. Now, the great thing about Empyrion at the moment is that thrusters don't damage other blocks. Now, some might argue that that's a bad thing, others may not. I personally don't, because it allows you to have nice looking vehicles and not have these giant thrusters sticking out everywhere. So I'm going to place my forward facing, my braking or reversing thrusters just under the Gatling cannons there. Okay, so they will allow me to stop, they will allow me to go backwards, but I've only got 2, so they'll be underpowered compared to the forward thrust. Okay, so I now got 4 thrusters left, so I now need to place my sideways thrusters that allow me to go sideways, and I'm just going to simply place these guys near the back, here and here, and the same on the other side here and here. Okay, so now I have thrusters in all directions, forwards, backwards, left and right. I don't need to worry about thrusters on the top or thrusters on the bottom because the hover vessel doesn't go up or down. Hover engines are what dictates our hover height, not the thrusters. Okay, so there we go. We've got thrusters in all directions now. So this thing, if we go back into the P menu, there are no more items in yellow. Everything that we need is there. So let's see if we can power this on. I just need to grab some power. Now, power-wise, you're probably going to be using biofuel initially, made from trees and plant fiber. I'm just going to chuck some fusion cells into my backpack here because I'm in creative mode. Fill that up. Power it on, and there we go. I mean, that is your basic hover vessel, and it will move in every direction. It sort of forwards, backwards, right, left, all good. Now once you are in your first hover vessel and your camera angle looks a bit like this and it's all a bit kind of close for comfort, you can press Alt on the keyboard. That'll free your mouse and you can look around. You can then use the mouse wheel to scroll up and down to move the camera up or down. If you want to reposition it vertically, you can use page up and page down to reposition it vertically as well. So you see I've got a little crosshair now, and that noise is the Gatling cannon's trying to fire, but I've got no ammo. So there we go. That is how to create a basic hovercraft. And once you're in this position with it, you can really go nuts basically with the armor or customizing the shape. You can use the blocks and the block menu to change how it looks. So eventually, after a bit of trial and error, you can end up with something a little bit like this, and you know, it's all yours. And there you go, and it'll work all directions. The only other thing I might do with this build is just put some armor around these thrusters and this constructor on the back. But other than that, that's your basic hover vessel. That's how you build a basic hover vessel. That's all you need. I hope you found this useful. If you did, considering giving it a like, that really helps the channel out. And if you're new here, make sure you click that subscribe button, because I'm always coming out with new Empyrion content. And as always, thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Till then, take care. Bye bye.